You're listening to the A.C.T podcast. You better like my daddy's show, you queeps.
All right, welcome back to the A.C.T podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Christian Tafoya. No guest today. My mic sound okay? No guest today. It's been a minute since I've actually done a real podcast. The last few weeks I've been working on these recommend videos. The newest one is the Robbie Williams and Better Man recommendation. I suggest you go check it out. I spend a lot of time on these recommendation videos, and so I would appreciate it if you go and watch them, like them, support them, comment on them. Really anything helps, and I'd appreciate it. I want to hear your feedback, too. I actually am a pretty curious cat, so if anybody wants to make a comment or a suggestion or whatever, go ahead and have your way with it. Not go away. Don't go away. The podcast doesn't work if I don't have an audience. Don't go away. Come back. Stay here and help me. Anyway, it's been a while since I've actually done a podcast. I think the last one I actually did was with DJ, and that was Is Pop Culture Dead podcast, which was before Halloween. And like I said, these recommendation videos are just crazy. How much editing and work and time goes into them, and planning it out and figuring out exactly what you want to say. Even though I'm me, so it's pretty loose. It's still incredibly tedious and time consuming, but it is fun, and I like the product at the end of it. But holy Moses, between that and work, I'm just I'm running on empty right now, and but I wanted to do a podcast and try and touch base with whatever audience I have, if anybody cares or gives a shit, which you probably don't. But if you do, like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what's doing. I will read the comments. I will try and engage with you if I can. But, yeah, man, work has been driving me nuts. I don't know if anybody else has been dealing with this, but we're having like a string of people who don't want to working, and, a lot of bad attitudes and things like that, which are not cool and not fun to be around, especially if you're a manager, because you have to have a certain attitude about everything, right? And lately my attitude's been fuck you. It's been my entire attitude is like, I don't care. Get out of here, right? Now, I haven't said that. I haven't done anything like extreme, but I've had it with people's attitudes, especially, a lot of people are screaming, I don't make enough money. And it's like, you make too much money, okay? Just trust me on that. You make way too much fucking money, right? If this is my business, I'd pay you like a nickel for 2 weeks. A nickel for 2 weeks, and that's it. That's all you get. It's just wild to me how entitled everybody is now. And, luckily, through circumstances and whatnot, we're trying to get a new crew and all that. And so hopefully things will get a little bit better. But right now it's, I'm not feeling great about it. I'm not feeling super hopeful. But, my boss called me recently and talked to me on the phone and said, hey, man, come on, stick with us. And I'm like, I'm trying to, buddy, but I'm at that close to my wit's end with this fucking place, right? And some of that is by the fault of us, and some of that is by the fault of people just don't actually want to do anything for the $18. It's going to be $18 is going to be the minimum wage in the city I live in right now. It's going to go up to $18.35, I think, in January, which is psychopathic. That is utterly ridiculous. In fact, I'd like to go on a quick little rant about that, because I know it's like fashionable and like, yay, we the people. And trust me, there is nobody more we the people than me, okay? Like, I am not a company man by any stretch of the means. But this minimum wage thing is killing all of us. Like, it's not in your best interest to keep voting to have a higher minimum wage and saying, well, it's my living wage, right? It's it's a nightmare. You cannot force companies to pay you more when they don't want to, which is exactly what's happening. And so I hate to break the news to you guys, but the companies will raise the prices before the minimum wage increase comes. And then they'll raise it again after the minimum wage increase. And then I got more news for you. I mean, this is wild, right? This is wild and wacky stuff. This is the other thing that companies do now, right? They're like, we don't want to pay, like say like 5 years ago, you had 20 people on your staff. Now they're like, well, because we're paying so much in this minimum wage increase now we're going to try and squeeze 15 people instead of having 20, having a little bit of looseness with the crew. And like, it's not the biggest deal if somebody calls out, or it's not the biggest deal if somebody goes on vacation. Now what's happening is the company says, well, now we're going to get you down to a skeleton crew. And so if anybody calls out, you're screwed. You're all by yourself today. And if somebody's on vacation, you're screwed. You're all by yourself today. And so that it's just, I know it seems inherently to be something good for you when you ask or vote to raise the minimum wage. But the consequences are the exact opposite. It's not helping anybody, right? And in fact, I've been looking into this more and more. I'm more of a proponent of just abolishing minimum wage in general and entirely, because that would force you to have to prove how much you're worth, right? And I don't know about you. I know there's this idea out there that rich people hate giving away their money. That's actually quite the opposite, right? A lot of rich people like to burn their money. They like to give it to other people. And, that's otherwise they probably wouldn't own a business or run a business. But if you had to force yourself to work harder to prove that, I'm actually worth $20 an hour versus everybody just gets $20 an hour, then obviously, unfortunately, sadly, there might be some people left in the dirt. But the ones that deserve higher wages and on a merit basis are going to get more money. And then therefore things are going to be more affordable to them, right? And let's be real. There's a sad fact of life that there's a lot of people that like to leech off the system. It's just the fact of the matter. And they're entitled, and they like to whine and cry and complain about how unfortunate, their circumstances always are, and yet they do fucking nothing to ever make themselves better or their circumstances better. And they think that having a teenager's job as a fast food clerk, for 20 years is the way to go. And honestly, it's not, right? The original idea was that was a teenager's job. You got that when you're in high school, maybe to get you through college, something like that. It wasn't supposed to be a career, right? Now, I know everybody's looking at me and saying, aren't you the pot calling the kettle black? Yes. But the key difference is that I'm not on government food stamps. I'm not on any kind of government welfare. I have moved up into a management position, and every job I've had, I've tried to move up into a management position specifically to make more money, right? Now, here's the other downside, right? With having $20 minimum wage is that if you are to be one of the harder workers and somebody who deserves recognition and more money and higher pay, there's this thing called compression, right? And so if I'm a manager and I'm supposed to make however much a salary is now for like a manager, probably like $60,000, right? If I'm supposed to make $60,000, well, now my employees are making like $40,000 to $45,000, and that's not that much of a difference in our pay. Let me break it down, right? So if somebody's on minimum wage at $20 an hour, and then the manager is only making like $21 an hour, that's only like a $3 difference, right? And so why would people want to be a manager and have to take on all those extra responsibilities and have to deal with like their schedules constantly being screwed and dealing with difficult people and things like that? It makes the incentive to be a manager less appealing, right? I mean, I've even come to that conclusion where I'm like, do I want to move up anymore? Like in my current situation, it's like, no, probably not, because the carrot at the end of the stick is just not worth it. to have to deal with the incessant whining and babies and just ugliness and rudeness of the workplace, it's not worth it at that small of a pay raise, right? It's not a big enough pay raise to where I'm like, I want to be the top dog of this place. I'm already regretting even taking a management position in general. Like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? I must be retarded. But anyway, that was my quick rant about minimum wage. Boss of minimum wage. And if you don't like that, you probably suck at life. Okay? You're probably a terrible, lazy, worthless person. And if you're like, I deserve $30 an hour. Fuck you. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's just it. You don't. You don't deserve anything. You work for everything, right? This idea that people have now that you should just live a life of leisure and have to do as little as humanly possible. I mean, it's just utterly wild to me. But anyway, so work's been burning me out and making me stressed and tired and whatever, blah, 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 blah. And man, holy crap, I'm getting fat. I'm sure anybody watching the podcast is like, geez, Anthony's getting kind of fat in the face. Yes, Anthony's getting very fat in the face. I haven't been going to the gym at all because I'm exhausted every day between work and dealing with the podcast stuff, which I mean, I can't even stress the endless hours you put into putting these things together, these little recommendation videos. And I'm not complaining. I actually really thoroughly enjoy it. I love doing it. You know, but on top of that, I also am a dad, and I have these little art projects I like to do. I don't know if you guys can see, but I like to wood burn. When I wood burn, that takes a tremendous amount of time. Everything I do is tedious. I'm not a guy who's like, let me do the quickest, fastest, easiest thing. It's like, no, let me do something insanely time-consuming and demanding on the nerves. Sometimes so frustratingly so. You know, that's why I'm losing my hair. It's the constant amount of tedious work that I give myself. But yeah, I haven't even been doing my wood burning or anything. I haven't been working out, and holy crap, I'm getting heavier and heavier. And that's the crappy thing, right? I've been trying to eat okay, and then like every Thursday, like my buddy Noah comes over and we drink 100 beers, and whenever I drink a lot of beer, I start craving chocolate. When I'm at a point of drunk, I'm like, chocolate, and then I eat like 15, king size Reese's bars or fast break bars or something. It's not good. But and it seems like that one day alone just completely throws me off for the rest of the week. Is anybody else like that, where you're just like, holy crap, like, yeah, you try and be good, and then you have that one cheat day, and then after that, it's like a struggle to get back on it, and then like the new week starts, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna be good again. Like, all right, team, break. We're gonna be good. We're not gonna eat bad, right? And like, so today I've barely eaten anything. I've eaten a steak and some rice and beans, and that's literally about it. And now the difficult part is like Wednesday. It's like, it's my day off. Kind of want some ice cream, right? And I'll probably be good on Wednesday, but then Thursday will come, and Noah will come, and I'll be like, 5:30, Noah's here, need a beer, slam another beer, and then I'll just completely fall off the wagon, and I'll try and be good and get back to being a not so fat piece of shit, but I'll inevitably fail, right? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just have incredibly weak willpower or something. I don't know. I got to get back to the gym, though. I'm looking terrible. But this is my first podcast in November, so I wanted to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving's coming up and whatnot. And I don't know, is anybody else just not feeling incredibly grateful in the month we're supposed to be grateful? It's just something that I don't know if it's just me, if it's the weather, if it's my lack of working out or whatever. I just feel kind of bitter and angry about a lot of things in my life. And I'm excuse me. And I'm trying to be better about it. I'm trying to be more introspective about it and like, things aren't so bad, but then there's this awful side of me right now. It's like the devil on my shoulder is just like, you hate everything. And I'm like, yes, I hate everything. Everything's awful. Is that just me? Can't just be me, right? Is it too much porn in our lives? Has that degraded us to this point where we're just like, fuck everything, life's awful? I have no idea. I've been talking to Noah about this outside of the podcast, and we're like, what the hell is going on with us? Like, there's just a sadness in the air. Even right now, like as I'm recording this, the Cowboys are on. One of their players just killed themselves. It just seems like there's despair in the air, and it's freaking November. Like we should be happy. It's Thanksgiving time. Don't we love Thanksgiving? Turkey and potatoes and taters. We got our turkey and taters. And oh man, it's just like it's like you're stuck in a rut. Is that just me? Maybe it's because I'm a little bit under the weather. No, it's really not because I'm under the weather. I'm having a hard time being grateful. I want to know if anybody else is feeling that way, and what can we do about that? I mean, I try all the time to wake up and be like, hey, my kids are alive, I'm alive, my fiance's alive, things are good. And then I'm like, fucking piss. Like, God damn it. I have to go to work. Work sucks. And even if it's not that bad of a day, I'm like, I fucking hate it. I just slit my wrist now. Not actually. Okay. But it's getting to a point where I'm like, even at work sometimes, I'm like, people are being nice to me and talking to me, and I'm like, yeah, just piss off. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I want nothing to do with you, right? I have some people that I text regularly, and lately I'm just like, I don't really care. I'm not going to text you. It's like a malaise is around everybody. And I think it's mostly affecting me, but I have heard other people feel it too. Is it the state of the world? Are we all broke? Is it the economy? I have no idea. What do you guys think it is? I tend to think it's mostly just like I'm almost 40. I would like to have bought a house by now, and that seems like the least realistic possibility on the face of the earth. Holy crap. I just don't ever see me owning a piece of property. I think the other thing too is like, I mean, partially, yeah, my job is easy, right? It's not that bad of a job. But is it too easy? Is that the problem? Is am I not being challenged enough? I feel like I want to do something more impactful, something to help the world, something to help change the culture of the country, and which is partially why I started this podcast. But I mean, let's be real. I'm probably not going to do that. So what in my day-to-day life could I do, or what kind of job or career could I get that could potentially impact people or make people happier or make people's lives better, right? And I can't come up with an answer, and I don't know what kind of career that would be, right? And before anybody says, oh, be a counselor, I don't know if I could do that at this age. I really don't. I mean, people say like, age is nothing but a number, and it's like, is it? Is it? Because I don't know. I just feel like people were further along than I am at this point in their lives, especially like my parents' generation. My parents' generation, and a few generations before me. I just feel like everybody was further along in their lives, and I think a lot of younger people feel the same way. Right? They're kind of just on this conveyor belt. Go to school and go to college, and nobody's ever really tested anymore. There's no adventure in anything anymore. And, even high school, for God's sakes. I mean, at least in Arizona, you don't really have to know anything to graduate. They'll just kind of graduate you. I don't know why that is. I've heard it's because if people drop out, they'll lose funding. I don't know how true that is. It sounds reasonably true to me. But, if you're not challenging anybody, and if nothing is challenging is it a life worth living? And not to get too crazy introspective or something, but like, people back in the old days used to have to like farm their own animals and their own vegetables, and like somebody like my grandma used to move from city to city in a tent with her family of 10 and like pick cotton. And I mean, just awful things happened to these people. Like one of her daughters was given away, or well, not one of her daughters, sorry, not my grandmother's daughter. One of her sisters was given away to her aunt who had the inability to give birth or whatever, and the dad was just like, "Here, take one of mine. I've got 50 of them." It's wild. Like, could you imagine that happening now? I can't, because like people are traumatized by like you giving them a dirty look or calling them a name or something, let alone like, "Here, I'm just going to give your sister away. I'll never see her again." Like that's the craziest fucking thing ever. But I remember my grandma told me, she said, my mom was cooking potatoes for dinner one night and had a big pot of boiling water, and my little brother was running around and goofing around with his other brothers or whatever, and one of them tripped him, and then he landed into the stove, and the pot of hot water like fell onto the guy and like completely just burnt his back to shit, and he almost died. And they were just like, "Well, what are we going to do about it?" It's like, "Well, put some ointment on it." No hospital, no doctors, just we're going to rub a lot of ointment on it, and you're just going to have to grit and bear it through the pain, right? And then he did. He lived, he survived, and, apparently he almost died, but which I would imagine he would. But severe damage to his skin, I'm sure his nerves and muscles and his back, and holy crap. I mean, could any of us do that now? Could you imagine? I just can't even imagine that world, right? But he lived a long, healthy, happy life, gave back to his community, did well in his career, and his family loved him, had a good, strong family. I think about that stuff and I go, wow, I just can't even imagine that happening. I don't even know what would happen if it didn't happen to me, right? Like if I just knew somebody whose kid got a pot of boiling water thrown on him, like that just seems like the most inconceivable thing to me. And like that would be like 9/11 for people. It would be like, what the hell do we do? Right? I don't know. That's crazy. I do wonder though, like, is that, not that I think that everybody needs to get hot water thrown on them, but this kind of goes back to the wage thing I was talking about. Do we need to be challenged more in our lives? Are we not challenged enough now? Is that why we feel so so despairingly about everything? Is that why everybody seems kind of down in the dumps and things like that? It's an interesting question to ponder and think about, for sure. Which brings me to the next thing and the last thing I want to talk about, because this is despairing. I mean, my God. So I saw recently that South Park was interviewed by somebody, maybe it was People, I don't remember. The creators, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, were interviewed by one of them, and they asked them, why they got so political in this last season of South Park, why they went after Trump so much, and they said, well, we're not really that political, and we did want to kind of show that we're independent, right? We're not really left or right or whatever. We go after everybody equally, which is fine. I think that's great. I haven't seen the new episodes of South Park. I don't really watch a lot of TV in general. I used to watch South Park when I was younger, obviously, because it was like, oh, shh, don't tell anybody you're watching South Park. But they said the reason they had gotten more political, and this is the depressing part, they said, is that politics is the pop culture now, right? We didn't used to do a lot of politics, but now it is the pop culture. And I started thinking about that. I thought that is absolutely true. I remember they used to kind of make fun of like religion on kind of a wholesale basis, particularly like Mormonism, things like that. I remember like in 2008 or 7, somewhere around there, they used to go hard at Mel Gibson because he was always in the news for something. They went after like the weird, crazy ideas of the day they weren't super political. Like, they weren't picking a side or really skewering presidents or anything like that. But now they have to, otherwise there's no relevancy to their show, which is the most depressing thing ever. I mean, this kind of goes back to what me and DJ were talking about on the Pop Culture Being Dead podcast, which is, if that is the state of pop culture now, which is just politics, right? Pop culture used to be its own separate thing. The monoculture used to be its own separate thing. You had your political people over here, and then you had the monoculture over here, and then you had like other stuff over there, right? And then you had like the furries and stuff like that, like living in the gutters, which is where they should be. But, but like that was the way it was because we cared about politics, but we didn't care about them that much. It wasn't like the end all be all to everything. It wasn't how we related to people. It wasn't like, oh, are you a leftist? All right, well then let's be friends. Oh, are you conservative? All right, well then let's be best friends, right? Like, that's not how we did things. It used to be like, I don't know what you are, and I don't know what religion you are, but do you see what fucking Mel Gibson said? That was some crazy shit. Like, that's what we used to do. Now we don't do any of that. Now it's all just like, you like Trump? Nope, I don't. Well, I can't talk to you. Get away. Do you hate Trump? Nope. Well, fuck you. Like, that's not good, right? And let's be real. Is it the funniest stuff? I would almost bet $100 that this season of South Park, just because it is skewering politics and stuff like that, is probably not as funny as all their older seasons. Because now, right? Okay. Let me. I got two thoughts now going on. I doubt it's as funny because politics is never as funny, right? It's just not, because you're always going to be alienating somebody, whether you want to or not, right? Now, if you were to go back to the other seasons, like a younger generation, like kids in school now, like high school and like late high school, early college, if they're super anti-Trump, they'll probably love the new South Park, right? But then they'll hate the old South Park because it's kind of skewering everybody, which is including some of their ideas. But on top of that, they'll be like, I don't even get some of these references. Like, who is this Mel Gibson guy? And who's Saddam Hussein? And who's Osama bin Laden? Like, they'll just be completely confused and baffled as to what these references even are. And that's not good, right? And I've noticed that with things like where some of the comedy that I really love is just completely over the heads of people that I know that are younger than me, because they just have no idea about the world that was, right? Like, even now, I mean, recently I made a joke about O.J. Simpson, which I've been doing for 100 years. I made a joke about O.J. Simpson, and somebody went, who? And I was like, you don't know the juice? The juice? Like, hello, Twitter world. That guy, the guy who killed his wife and the waiter, you don't know O.J., the greatest Bills running back of all time? That's crazy to me. But we're living in a world where it's like, no, I don't know who O.J. Simpson is, and I know who this bitch is on TikTok, and me and like 5 other people in my actual life know that person, but nobody else knows. And the fact that South Park is having to come down and go like, well, how can we make a comedy show? Well, the only thing anybody knows anything about is politics, right? We know our politicians, and we know who the president is, and we know like speakers of the House and stuff like that. Like, I remember it used to be weird if you knew who the Speaker of the House was. People were like, huh? Who's that? Why do you know that? What are you, a nerd? What are you, a Fed? Right? It was like, you were crazy if you knew who these people were. Now, like, everybody knows every political person. We all know the commentators too, right? Like, maybe that's our biggest fault and flaw as a society, is that's how we've given the politicians, the people that we all say are liars and hate us and we shouldn't trust them, and we shouldn't believe them because they're never in the interest of us, right? We all still have those feelings. We all still think that. We all still feel that. But we've given them all of our power because what do they want? They're all like failed actors and failed people that they're all failed narcissists, right? Which is what everybody in Hollywood is. They're a narcissist. And we're giving them that power by saying, "Oh, we'll know your name and we'll watch your every word and we'll follow you around like you're Jennifer Lawrence in 2009." Right? That's crazy. I mean, that really is crazy. Maybe we need to take a step back and stop giving those people all of our power, right? They're not gods, they're not kings, they're not anything, right? They're just people. And maybe you like some more than the other. Maybe you don't like that one as much as the next. And that one's better because of this reason. And that one's better for that reason. And this one's worse. And that one's whatever. It's okay to be involved. And it's good to be smart and to know what you're voting for and to have your convictions in your voting. But to live on every single word of these people, that's where the power is. And that's why like people like Pelosi have been in politics for like 60 years. 60 years. That's insane. Right? Like, if we're tired of these people, we should probably vote them out when it comes time to vote them out. I don't know how people like Pelosi and McConnell and who's the other one? Schumer. I don't know how they've stayed in power because I don't know anybody that likes them, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. Like, nobody likes these people. So why do they still have power? What's going on there? How do we change that, right? I think the vote still counts. I think the vote still matters. But maybe enough people don't pay attention at those during those elections. You know, they talk about off-season elections and stuff like that. Maybe that's when we need to pay attention the most. And then when the election's over, we go, okay, that's good. I'm good with that, right? I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but part of this new Trump administration, the last one was chaotic and crazy and whatever. Part of this one is that I've gone a few weeks without hearing anything about it that has been really nice. Like, okay, I'm not hearing anything about it. Quite frankly, towards the end of the Biden administration, I heard almost nothing about Biden, right? Because by the end of his administration, it was all about the election. But I kind of liked it when I didn't hear about the president every day and what he was doing and what he was saying and what he was tweeting. Like, that's kind of how it used to be back in the day. And then we could enjoy other things in life, including cartoons that cuss a lot. I don't know. I guess I've been kind of thoughtful today. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just completely off my rocker. But it is bothering. It is bothersome and depressing that, South Park, in order to stay relevant, has to use politics and find comedy in politics versus just us all like, I mean, what happened to the days where we all like hated like what was that one girl's name? Let's just say OJ. What happened to the good old days where we all just kind of hated OJ? We could all just pick one guy that we were like, fuck that guy, hate him, right? We had a little bit of that with like Paris Hilton and well, maybe we should all gang up and just start hating Kim Kardashian together or something like that, right? And for no good reason other than we just don't like her. We don't need a good reason, right? And then South Park can skewer how much everybody hates Kim Kardashian and what makes her so hateable. I don't know. It's just like she's better than like having to make fun of like presidents and politics and all that, because it's just, that to me seems like the death of America, right? That's not a culture that is sustainable, one that is just overly tuned in on politics. And I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Kind of a quick episode tonight, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe some food for thought. It's good to do this again. I'm happy to be just doing a regular podcast. This will be a lot less editing and a lot less tedious for me. Hopefully we'll get some more guests on soon. I gotta say, it's kind of hard to get people on anymore. They don't. I think they just don't like me. Everybody's worried about their fucking reputation. I don't know. It's like, whatever. I don't even tag anybody on the show. So it's like, if they find you, it's strictly out of, happenstance. They're like, oh, I need a job. I'm like, no, you don't. Anyway, thank you for listening, though. Like and subscribe to the channel. Leave comments. Let me know what you want to see or hear. And I'll be back soon with more stuff. We're going to do some more recommended videos. Hopefully we'll have Noah or DJ, maybe even Brian back on soon in the future. Anyway, thank you for listening. This is The Act.